Good evening. I'm just going to get started in a few moments, but before I do, I'm just doing a quick audio and visual check. If you could just confirm in the chat bar on the right-hand side of the screen that you can see and hear correctly, it would be great if I could just get confirmation of that. Once I see it coming through, I'll get started in a few moments, waiting a couple of minutes after 8 for any late arrivers. Talk to you soon. Good evening, Jacob Field here. I'm just going to do another quick audio visual check. If you can jump into the chat bar on the right-hand side of the page, just give me a big yes that you can hear correctly and see the slide in front of you with a rocket launching out of the clouds. Just once I get that confirmation, I will get started in a few moments. Okay, I'm going to jump right in now. Thank you for everyone for letting me know that you can see and hear correctly. It was a little bit of a delay in that coming through, but I was a little bit worried that things may not have been okay. But great, big shout out and welcome to everyone tonight. Thanks, Sky, David, Michael, Pabby, Ivor, Adam, David again, Amanda, Chris, Robert, Samantha, a few more coming through. Thank you so much for letting me know that you can see and hear correctly. If you are having issues with your resolution or quality, Michael's just mentioned images a little bit blurry. There is a link that I've just shared in the chat bar. You can click on that link and view the broadcast directly within YouTube itself, just so you know that you won't be able to obviously chat and engage with the message and the telecast over on YouTube. You do have to keep it within the webcast panel here to be able to do that, but it may be a better resolution. Otherwise, you can jump in and refresh your browser, close off any other videos or YouTube videos or whatever may be slowing down your internet connection to really try and get things as clear as possible. Yeah, failing that, maybe even reducing the size of your browser window. I will share that again. Sorry, Dean. Yep, I'll grab that for you and share that out. That will allow it directly within YouTube. So just let me know if you can see that. Pabby, Dean, Michael, all asking for that there. Okay. Thank you so much for jumping in at 8 o'clock and allowing us to get started on time. It's heading into October, so coming into the last part of the year. Tonight, I'm going to be taking you through some undercover suburbs that have been revealed in our recent research heading into October that are all set for imminent growth, but maybe feeling a little bit unloved. So not necessarily out there in the media, not necessarily out there in other researchers or industry experts or institute members that we have spoken to. These are areas that have great investability, great on-the-ground numbers and metric health, but no signs or recent growth and no signs of imminent growth from the news or the media. So they're true undercover suburbs. I'll show you how we define them, how we can search for them, and potentially how they might provide us growth into the future in the short term. So ready to move now, but then probably best of all, because they are feeling a little bit unloved, they're not out there, you're going to be able to potentially snag and negotiate very hard on these properties or properties in these suburbs and be able to be quite choosy and negotiate very heavily on the properties because you don't have that groundswell of interest or momentum following the suburbs yet. So that's what it's all about. It's about getting in there early and being able to use the market momentum that is building to deliver your growth. That's what I'm going to go through tonight. Before I do, I might just tell you a little bit about myself. So I am an investor from the early 2000s. I'm founder of ripehouse.com.au in 2011. I guess you'll describe me as a DIY investor. I love property, I love technology, and I love helping others invest. And I do that, I suppose, talking and really involving myself in the industry and empowering myself with knowledge to be able to invest myself and not necessarily delegate to others. So property investment, IT, technology is my real passions, and I love and try and keep fit. Playing basketball, but generally I probably get a little bit more exercise chasing my couple of toddlers around with my wife and I. We're lucky enough to have a 4 and a 1-year-old to keep us busy. So a little bit about me. I'm actually based down here in Tasmania. Ripehouse is based on Elizabeth Street here in Tasmania. We have recently spent time as a family in Sydney, moved back down here to Tassie. So a little bit slower pace, and with a technology focus, we can work across the country in very similar fashion. So just a little bit about me. I'll just jump in and do a quick introduction as well to the content. I'd love to keep this as interactive as possible. Please get involved. If you've got any questions at any time, shout out, let me know in the chat bar on the right hand side of the screen. If they are relevant to what I am discussing at that point, I'll stop and address them there and then. Otherwise, I'll gather them together and get to them all at the end. So there will be an extended Q&A at the end of the session. Trying to keep it around the hour mark. Really trying to get through the absolute meat and get us to the nice case study work towards the end. And then obviously the question and answer is where we can really drill down to your needs. Just let's get it engaged now to start with. Please tell me a little bit about yourself. Do you currently rent, own or occupy with a mortgage, without a mortgage? Do you currently own any investment properties? How many? Just tell me a little bit about where you sit and where you're going, and I'll try and adapt and cater the content to if I'm seeing any patterns. But it's great to get to know where you're at and where you're coming from and what you'd like to get out of this evening. So please let that through now via the chat with a big shout out. Maybe even let us know where you're calling in from and listening to us tonight. It'd be great to get a bit of a feel for what's happening. I might just, because there's a little bit of delay in the broadcast, so I might just cut through. But what I'm going to be talking through tonight might be a little bit different to what you've seen before. It is Ripehouse is a technology-backed investor research platform. What I'm going to be talking through is a process that is cutting edge. It's right on the absolute cutting edge of the research that we do day to day. The research is not just a plain white paper or a research document. It is implemented by tools, and breaking off from that, I take the best bits, what I'm seeing, and put together the content for these types of webcasts. So I do hope you get a lot out of it. It's something you can take away. If we change the way you think about property and research, you can take some snippets from it. We've had a great success in this evening. If it's the first time attending a session, big shout out, let me know. So yes, first time here. If you've been to a few before, let me know. It'd be great to sort of get a feel for if you've been to a couple of sessions like this in the past, because I will be going into real life case studies. Tonight I'm going to be doing 3 very special analysis case studies. One over in WA, a much unloved state at the moment. Is there potential there? Wales regional area and the key Victorian regional area. We're going to be satellite area. We're going to be digging into these undercover growth areas in some great detail, right down to the street and property level tonight. So before I go on, Sky Loyal follower, Mark from Perth, looking to invest for the first time. Nina, Tassie again. Amanda, own principal place of residence in Sydney, have one investment property in Queensland, looking for second investment property. Ivor, renting from Melbourne, looking to invest. Mortgage in Blue Ribbon suburb, no investments yet. Michael, renting Central Melbourne, wanting to buy first property as an investment to Rentvest. That's probably a little bit about me. It wasn't until our sixth property that we purchased that we actually lived in for the first time in Lane Cove in Sydney. That was going back to the early 2010, 11. It was 6 acquisitions, purchasing, nice cash flow, renovate for profit strategies that we rolled out personally. Now my personal strategy is all focused on yields and being able to, going back a few years, transition out of employment on the back of our yields and then focus on Ripe House. A few more. So yeah, Dean, Umina Beach, sunny North New South Wales Central Coast, beautiful spot. Rent, invest with 5 IPs. Michael, no mention of South Australia. Watch out for that, Michael. I'm actually putting together a webcast in the next week or so with 2 local area experts in Adelaide, Corey Batt and Dave Trugar, who are contributors on our content portal, The Frontier Investor. They have got the finger on the pulse in Adelaide, and we're going to have a session, a webcast session about Adelaide. So do watch out for that in the coming weeks. I might leave it there. Still a few more of you coming through. I'll try and keep going on with the content. A bit of a feel for us all, I suppose, to understand who's on the line and where we're all coming from. But what I'm going to be talking through tonight are real applicable case studies. It's all about a holistic view to research, looking at the state into the local government area, the suburb, the street, and the property. And I will be using a couple of unloved undercover suburbs that I think the data is looking very compelling. We're going to put those suburbs in context with what is around them in the local government area. Are we able to actually invest there for success? And is the growth story consistent in that local government area? That's going to be a common theme, because what I'm going to talk through tonight is a system. It's a process. It's a system where you can methodically design and cater your research, whether it's within Ripe House or this is takeaway content for you to go away and change your perspective on property and research. It's a system where if you increase your catchment area to look across the country for the absolute pinnacle of opportunity for your strategy, get the local government area right. I'll go over and over this again and again tonight. The local government area is where the magic happens. It's where you can really pinpoint areas of opportunity across the country. And the local government area is a really nice number. It's a number of suburbs, which gives you a sample size, a reasonable number of dwellings to look for trends and improvements in population or employment or whatever they may be. But it's not too many properties to be too generalised. It's not a whole city or a state. You can really make generally LGAs move in the same direction for the same reasons. So you can gather the data together and you can make decisions at an LGA level very effectively. But you have to make sure that local government area, the reasons why you've gone there in the first place, are amplified and reiterated in the suburb. The suburb has to lead the local government area forward in terms of opportunity. Then you might need to make sure you have the street right. We call them the street sweet spot. Is that street literally going to drive the suburb forward? Is this the street that people are moving towards and wanting to pay more to live in? You've got to get that right. Then find the exact property to drive that demand and be in this be leading the suburb forward, which will lead the local government area forward. You can then use research and understanding of the market to negotiate and buy at or below value. And that's the system that we're going to be talking through tonight to deliver outstanding capital growth. So this is a big number. I'm going to be also talking through a case study of how Ripe House users are able to achieve 25% capital growth in the first annum when you get all of this right, how it can all amplify your results and deliver outstanding growth. That's what I'll be detailing in this tonight's content. If you've got any questions at any time, let me know, but I really just wanted to set that out as a framework for us to refer back to. Number one, increase your catchment area. So what I mean by this, we have to look across the whole country for the absolute best growth potential at any one time. It's always changing, but there's not much chance that that growth potential, the number one growth market for you and for your strategy, is going to be next door or where you're familiar with. The chances are not good. The further you spread your net, the more chance you're going to hit on an area that is ready to move from day dot. Not ready to move at the end of the year, end of 2017, not really has already been 6 months in the growth cycle. We want to find, when we're ready to purchase, the absolute number one growth market anywhere in the country. And the further we open up our catchment area, the more chance we've got of hitting on that area. So how can we do this? We start, I suppose, looking at state versus state. Now, within Ripehouse, and I will go and demonstrate this in a few moments, you can view state of the state information. But to be perfectly frank, and this is very heavily overused in media and lower sophisticated commentators, etc., state level information is usually far too general. So if you can say, you know, Sydney is past its peak, it's in the slowdown phase, and yes, the research does show that. So that's only Sydney. And if you say that Sydney or New South Wales is in the slowdown phase, it's too general. You may have regional areas in New South Wales that are in the absolute, compelling growth phase of the cycle. So when you go into a state level, any information or insight is far too generalized, and it's an aggregate of many different directions or pools. So it's really hard to rely on. But just in general terms, we've got Queensland, Victoria, Tasmania, all in the uplift and growth phase, with still some more room and good amount of buffer up to a market peak. We've got South Australia and in Western Australia aligning towards the start of a recovery and growth phase. We've got New South Wales and Northern Territory in either confused or slowdown phases. So just in very general terms, there's no major surprises there, but it really is difficult. You cannot buy a property that represents Queensland as such. So you have to dig down a little bit deeper. And at this point, it's too general in our research. So that's not probably the way to open up our catchment area. Probably the local government area level is about right. So you can pick out the local government areas within those states that are really driving things forward and potentially leading the state forward. So that once you're able to find those LGAs, you might have a few from Queensland, a few from Victoria. You're able to compare them apples for apples, like for like, and make decisions based on value and observations of those markets. So that's where I'm going to skip through the state by states. It's not where the magic happens. Let's go into local government areas. But before I do that, I just wanted to make the importance of looking at live information. So before I go in and we can do some analysis of local government areas and where they sit, I just want to mention that there's no point in looking at the health of local government areas or states if you're relying on old information. So always question, how relevant and timely is the information that I'm looking at? If you're trying to make purchase decisions, and this is all about, it's looking for growth and outstanding growth in the first year of acquisition. You want to purchase and acquire a property that is ready to move from day dot. Any day that you hold that property without any movement in that suburb is lost opportunity and opportunity cost. So you need to make a decision where you can purchase a suburb, a street and a property that is ready for immediate growth. That means you need to have immediate data, timely data. You cannot be relying on out-of-date data. The more that you do rely on out-of-date data, the more commoditized that information, the more eyeballs are across it, and the more people you're coming up against to acquire that property in those suburbs. So you want to be the first mover. You want to get access to live information. Timing is everything before, and so we can position ourselves in front of hockey stick growth. So keep a bit of an asterisk next to that term, hockey stick growth. I'll show you the importance of what it is in a few moments and how it all strings together to deliver us the outstanding results. We really want to use lower sophisticated, commoditized investors to deliver us our growth. And to do that, the really important point is to look at the whole country, but do it in a timely fashion. Any information we are looking and dissecting has to be relevant to today. Okay? All right. Actually, no, I might go through these couple of points and then we'll go into some actual examples of local government area research, what is happening in the country at the moment. I did mention local government areas are the optimum point of really finding meaningful insight, not cities, not Sydney, not Melbourne, not state. Melbourne itself moves in a lot of different directions, but the interplay between different stages of your research is important. You've got to make sure that the suburb amplifies the local government area, the street amplifies the suburb, and the property amplifies the street. It all has to work in a holistic approach to property investment. And we need a splash of common sense. So I'll go into this in a lot more detail later, but all we're doing is looking for areas that have great growth fundamentals on the back of buyer behaviour. So we are using the buyer and the market to deliver us our growth, and we have to understand how that works a little bit. So I will go into that a little bit more later. Let's jump right in. I'll give a live example now of local government area analysis. Just do a double check of any questions. Keep them coming through. Michael's already asked the question, are you using comparative data, changes, trends, as opposed to just a point in time? I might go into that in a little bit more detail, but you've hit on a really good point there in terms of any particular metric is not just a point in time. That doesn't really reveal much. It's the trend of that number that is the important thing. And I'll go into that in a lot more detail in a few seconds, but it's the trend of that number that is really reveals what is happening in that suburb. But most importantly, the trend of that number related to other areas is almost irrelevant. It has to be related back to that same market. So is that suburb trending upwards in terms of yields, and are the yields at a high point of the cycle for that suburb? That's the important point that we need to make. So I will go into that in a little bit more detail. I did just want to stop there for you, Michael, and answer that question. Do keep the questions coming through. Where I am, I'm sitting on the Ripe House homepage at the moment. I'm already logged in as a user. I'm going to click on the dashboard button up here in the top right-hand page. This is your daily snapshot page. This is where all of the information coming through the platform is contained. You can view news articles fed via our content portal, the Frontier Investor. You can jump over to the frontierinvestor.com.au from here. You can view our learning modules. You can do all of the research within the platform. You can acquire and manage your portfolio. More on the acquire phase, that is in rollout phase at the moment, but you can upload your portfolio and see current equity, refinance opportunities, any strategic opportunities within your portfolio. We have over 25 contributors who provide content to us, and we work very closely with them to organise content and storylines that are unique and exclusive to the Frontier Investor, with an absolute focus and dedication on providing content to DIY property investors. There's no marketing, there's no advertising. All of the content is provided with a unique conversation between us and our contributors to provide you with information you need to understand strategy, logic, and property investing as a DIY investor without any spruik or marketing within that. So this is your daily feed. You can check all of the content that's coming through. You can also see other strategies that other Ripe House users are seeing to great success. It really is your personal dashboard for within Ripe House. And you can also use the 5 layers of research. So if you can think back to that system, you've got the catchment area, the state of the states, you've got the LGA down here on the right-hand side of the screen, the LGA level research, the suburb versus suburb, the street versus street, and the property versus property. That's all over here in the research tools. So at this point, let me jump in to the local government area research assistant. So anytime you see the heartbeat around the side, it means that this data is literally live as of today. It's completely timely. Our algorithms are constantly going off across the internet like Google does, gathering up on market and sold listings, so for sale, for rent and sold listings. As we're gathering those daily, it's collating it and it's recalculating that all the way up the chain to give you absolute to the day property clock information or health check information for LGAs, suburbs and streets. It's doing that over and over and over again, so you can rely on the information in a timely fashion. So this is where it really gets interesting, because local government areas, you want to try and define the property clock for that local government area, and you've got usually enough properties and dwellings in that that local government area, that LGA, to define a reasonably accurate property clock. At a suburb, you don't usually have enough dwellings, and as I mentioned, at a state, you've got too many, it's too general. So here, what we like to do, let's just leave the whole country selected. You can refine it via a state. I want to try and find all the LGAs between 8 and 10 o'clock on the property clock. So it's come far enough around 6 o'clock in the recovery phase. It's given some demonstrated growth already, the alignment of healthy metrics, and now you're 10 o'clock and further beyond towards 12 o'clock, you might not have much opportunity left in the tank. So it's all about trying to get in here between 8 and 10 o'clock. It's also worth looking at some of the health checks. So going back to your point there, Michael, one of the key signs within a local government area of imminent growth is sales volumes trending upwards. So property is transacting in more higher volumes, and that is relative back to that local government area, not across the whole country. We've also got sales volume trending. Are they at a high point in the cycle? Days on market trending downwards, potentially at a low point in the cycle. Yields trending upwards and potentially at a high point in the cycle. So that's just a little bit of insight into our local government area health checks. But I will go into a little bit more detail about the buyer behaviour of that in a few moments, the whys. You can see you can really quickly narrow yourself down to the absolute pinnacle in the country. I'll look for at least 4 out of those 6 health checks. And we have a very unique opinion score within Ripehouse over here on the right-hand side of the screen. The higher the opinion score, we have done over 150 interviews across the country with local area experts. And by that I mean Real Estate Institute members, local valuers, buyers agents, and on-the-ground observations. We've normalised those interviews and really got on-the-ground insight. And then we've now, since those round of interviews, monitored sentiment within the media. So the higher and more positive mentions from people in the know in the investment space of this local government area, the higher the opinion score. That generally means that these local government areas have a lot more eyeballs and potentially less sophisticated investors now onto the scent. So you might want to probably get in a little bit earlier than when the word is out. That's what it's all about tonight, is trying to find suburbs and local government areas where there is some opinion, potentially, some really nice signs of strong health, but not too many eyeballs. We don't want to be acting with the masses. We want to use the masses to deliver us hockey stick growth, okay? So if we move with those guys, if we move with the less sophisticated investors, we're potentially just going to get run-of-the-mill results. If we want to get outstanding results, we have to position ourselves just in front of them. So that's increasing our catchment area, live and timely data, and then using and monitoring opinion and sentiment to position ourselves just before it. We want to see it growing. So one local government area that's standing out for me here at the moment, obviously Hobart's right up there. Great fundamentals within Hobart at the moment. Ballarat is another that I'm just going to put a little bit of an asterisk to, and we can come back to that later. But you can see how you can very quickly, across the country, find local government areas that are outstanding in their market health and positioning. So let's just leave that list there for a moment. I'm going to switch back over the slides. I'm just going to check if we've any questions coming through. Let me do that. I'll get to your question in a few moments there, Michael, again. Okay. So the next job that we have, if we say we're going to use Ballarat as our case study tonight, okay? So let's select Ballarat as our local government area. There's obviously a few other candidates, but it doesn't have too high opinion, but it has some. 10 o'clock on the property clock, 3 out of 6 ticks, 131 days on market, which is quite accessible. It's about what you would expect in a regional satellite area. Yeah, 4.18% average yield, looking quite healthy. So when we come to Ballarat, obviously it's a satellite country area, has reasonable enough population and potentially a nice varied economy. Okay, let's just assume that. But we have to find the individual streets and suburbs within Ballarat that are going to lead the area forward, the local government area. We want to pick the suburbs that are going to deliver growth from day one and not in 6 months ago or 6 months' time. And we want to use the masses and beat those guys to the market. And then when that groundswell of less sophisticated investors gets out there, it's in reports, it's in the media, it's on the lips of Real Estate Institute members, etc. They are going to be delivering the message to investors who will give us the growth. So it's all about supply and demand. When there's a larger buying pool, more demand coming into the market from more investors, they are potentially going to deliver us the growth. We want to target suburbs potentially that have been lying dormant. So when all of the leading indicators, they may have not have had any growth whatsoever for the last 10 years, but we are looking for changes in the demand and supply of these markets. The stars are aligning, I suppose, that will position that suburb, that LGA, for imminent growth. We're looking for prime for growth, not previous growth. What's all this talk about hockey stick growth? So this is a hockey stick growth curve. So for whatever period of time it is, these are completely different metrics. We've got world carbon emissions. We've got global price to sales. We've got entrepreneurs' net worth growth. We've got property growth. We've got a lot of different metrics, but it's a very common growth curve for whatever metric you're tracking, because for, things might be, if anything relates to multiple variables, it takes a while sometimes for those to align. And when they do, the momentum really starts to happen. Things really start to align quickly and then grow quickly in relative terms. This is a very common hockey stick growth curve that we are trying to target for property. So we are looking for suburbs that have been lying dormant for a period of time and then ready to move and then potentially plateau in the future. But I just wanted to probably stop there and ask the question, is hockey stick growth something that is this just a concept that we're understanding? Do I need to go over it a little bit in a little bit more detail? Do you understand how a suburb might lie dormant and then the stars align? If we're looking for leading indicators of growth, we can track those and position ourselves just in front of that hockey stick growth. That's what it's all about. Let me know just yes or no, is that making sense? And if so, I'll skip through this. This is a hockey stick growth curve of Sydney growth. Where would you position yourself to purchase? Would it be, say, in 1990, 1995, 1998, or 2000? So obviously a lot of growth has occurred in 2000. It's been quite flat for 10 years between 1985 and 1995. If you bought in 1985, you'd have to hold it for 10 years to obtain much or any growth. If you even bought in 1995, you'd have to wait 3 years before things really started moving. If you bought in 1998, you don't have to wait any time. You can property is staying to skyrocket from day dot for 2 years afterwards through to 2000. So just let me know, yes, you understand, and when in the year terms would you potentially buy on that growth curve? Michael, 1998, yes. Andrew, yes, Adam's got it. Andrew's got it. Michael makes sense. Dave, yes. Scott, yes. Thanks. Yeah, so 1985, no. Thanks, Emily, 1998. So I would potentially be trying to position myself in 1998. That's what I'm talking about by hockey stick growth, trying to put us right in that prime position for imminent growth. So let's just move on. I was trying to stop things there. So this is a case study, an actual example within the webcast of a Ripe House investor. So this is a story about Guy Williams. He's purchased 10 properties using Ripe House in the first 10 months of his membership with us, which was about 18 months ago. He joined up. We'll have to probably touch base with Guy and see how he's gone since. We have developed 4 case studies where we've really tried to break down exactly how Guy invests, his methodology, how he manages property managers, how he acquires, how he negotiates, etc. We've packaged up 4 case study articles on the Frontier Investor, so look out for that there. That's thefrontierinvestor.com.au. But Guy Williams, Ripe House investor, 10 properties in 10 months. The average annualized capital growth of each of those 10 properties total was 25% growth each in the first year of acquisition, the first 10 months. So that's annualized growth. Cash on cash return is 105% in that per annum growth, and the average yield on these properties was 6.25% each. So drastically cash flow positive. So this is a bit of a, so definitely jump into the frontierinvestor.com.au for more details. You can check out each of the properties, the addresses, the suburb names, not the addresses, purchase price, estimated yield, estimated or actual yield, estimated growth. All of the details are there, exactly how we did it. But Guy is an example of how he used Ripe House to look for hockey stick growth and deliver 25% annualized growth in that first per annum period. So I might just jump in there. I'll open a new tab. The Frontier Investor. We'll search for Guy down the side. It's in our most read articles. I might flip right down to the bottom. So this first article goes through how his strategy works. He treats property as a business. It started off slowly and it's really snowballed as he's honed his skills. And we've really tried to take his secret sauce into this article. He's really, he's an amazing investor, an amazing and unique resource to an investment community. He's really happy to share his information, very generous with his time. and watch out for more stuff coming in partnership with Guy in the next few months. But we've got all of the information there around the portfolio and the exact properties that he's purchased. So this one here in Ballarat, this is going back to 2015, 9 months, 13.5% growth. Some of these have had 40% growth in 7 months, 23%. Some of them have just ticked over, not done much. Some of them have had outstanding growth. But as an aggregate across 10 purchases, 25% growth. So that's just a bit of a case study example of how Guy goes about his business. I'm just going to break down the buyer behaviour side, because we have to understand what's driving this growth into the local government areas and then making sure that's reiterated into the suburbs. So I'm just going to make this illustration about why people might move to the local government area before we go in and try and find suburbs that are going to drive things forward. What usually happens, you see population increasing, public building work. So the case of Moreton Bay in the last 2015, you've had Trainline, Westfields, IKEA, University, business park, 20,000 people business park, and the marina that's going in, and a lot of obviously new property, but a lot of positive upside. So that's driving new utility and demand and population increasing. But those new residents generally rent first. So they generally come in and they'll sign a 6 or 12-month lease. They want to test the water. They want to see if it's somewhere they want to live. They usually rent. So you first start seeing rents increasing. You haven't seen growth, so you have yields increasing at the same time. Those two things happening together are very important. After that, you see sales volumes increasing. So that's then those people who have moved to the area, they've gone, yep, this is working great for me, the job's going well. 6 months after that, you see sales volumes increasing. They've actually come back now and saying to purchase. So they're actually purchasing property at a higher rate. And you've also started to see those really early adopting investors chasing yields from across the country, driving sales. So that's the second stage. You then see, and this is a bit of a check and balance, has there been new properties built in the suburb and the LGA? If there's supply side risk, so those new properties, and that's filling up all the demand, days on market may not be actually decreasing. So just think about this logically. If you've got more sales in the area, but your actual properties that are coming onto the market is stagnant, days on market is going to be sucked down as that supply is drying up. But if you've got developers supplying and filling in that demand, nothing's going to change in terms of demand, the days on market. So you like to see sales volumes going up and days on market steady or decreasing. That then, the stars are aligning. You can see the buyer behavior. Growth starts to occur. It is imminent. That is, hockey stick growth is imminent. That's the drivers. A little science, I suppose. I do apologise. I'm sorry if that sort of helps you glaze over, but I just wanted to try and dig a little bit deeper. We've got to make sure we target the suburbs in the local government area that are going to drive this hockey stick growth forward. How do we find these suburbs? So within Ripehouse in the middle there, you've got the holistic research tools that I showed you before. We've got experts, their opinion, and their strategies integrated, or you can design your own. I'll go into a little bit more detail on that later. But I might pause things there. I've just ruined the surprise. What we're doing now, we need to go into the city of Ballarat. We can click on that local government area. What it's going to do is going to take us into the Explore the Nation page within Ripehouse. This is a visual suburb versus suburb comparison tool. It's loaded up all the suburbs within Ballarat and it's ordered them in terms of likelihood or potential for that buyer behaviour to result in growth. So it's a visual way of representing the health of the suburb, and potentially the bigger, the greener the suburb, and obviously Sebastopol is rated #1. That is more likely to be, according to our research, the #1 suburb in the LGA to drive growth forward. So the suburb set for imminent growth. Okay, so the metrics tab, that is our on-market health assessments for imminent growth. Interest means how many other investors are looking at this area, this suburb. We have a unique metric. We track Ripehouse users and their interest, and we can show you where people are looking. So if you've got a high interest score, it means there's already a lot of eyeballs from other investors within Ripehouse. A high opinion score, it means that this suburb the word is already out. Potentially you may be having to invest with other masses, lower sophisticated masses. You try and get in when this opinion score is building but low. Income relates to yield. And then also vacancy rates and rental volumes. So high income is positive, in terms of yields, etc. And the investability score, not all streets are created equal. I'll go into that in a little bit more detail shortly, but we want to be investing in the streets that people are targeting to live in. And the higher the investability of the score, the more properties are on the market in those streets. So Sebastopol, number one, you can see not all suburbs are big and green, and lots of them are small and red. You can actually use this as your main search page. So you can click on the Undercover toggle over here on the right-hand or the left-hand side, and that will show you across the country all the suburbs that are undercover at the moment. So it's a very powerful research tool, this page. You can see how we have come to Sebastopol as our growth target or within this LGA of Ballarat, and you can see how I've come down the line to find it. So a little bit about Sebastopol in Ballarat. Might be worth, if anyone's on the line that's got understanding of Ballarat, just let us know if there's anything going on in terms of projects, government spend. Is there a hospital happening? What's happening in the area that might be explaining this demand? Why are people being drawn towards the area in higher numbers? It has been borderline. I've been monitoring it and watching it and seeing it from 2015 into 2016, but we have been seeing strengthening of the numbers and alignment in those metrics. Those stars are aligning. Growth hasn't necessarily occurred, but we have seen that strong alignment of them. No guarantees, obviously. We're trying to find the suburbs that are the highest potential for imminent growth, but we don't have a crystal ball, but it's trying to look at the on-the-ground health checks, etc., to show the most likely areas for growth. Let's go on. What I might just do is turn the screws. So we want to get outstanding growth, and this is a big element to Guy's success, making sure the street is right. So if people are coming towards the suburb for similar reasons, they generally seek out similar streets within the suburb. We want to be buying the streets that are absolutely going to drive the suburb forward. We want to avoid the areas that need to be avoided. Just think about the suburb that you live in. You know the streets that people avoid to live in, that don't want to live in. We want to seek out the streets that people are demanding, that are leading the suburb forward. It's critical to get the street level right, and it's often overlooked. Ripe House is all about making sure you get the street right. It's absolutely critical to your success. Up to 25% plus or minus in relative terms. Well, I'll go into that in a moment. It's huge effect on your upside, your growth, by getting that street level right. And it's a major component of delivering hockey stick growth. Let's take a look at how important it is. So just a minute, if you get the street right in the suburb, we've gone through, we have since 2011 been tracking for sale, for rent and sold properties. We've also been tracking property growth per street, per property. If you get the street level right, we've got a geocoded, so a spatial database of locations for public housing concentrations on per street, own occupiers versus renters, houses versus units, rent, yields, incomes per street. And we've found a unique combination of 5 of those metrics that, when combined, result in a street level area within the suburb that will deliver 21.9% above average return. So if you get that street level right, the Ripe House sweet spot, you're going to amplify your results by an average 21.9% more than the suburb overall. So if the suburb goes up 4%, you would expect 5% growth, or approximately 5% growth in that same quarter, if you get the street level right. So obviously that changes for every suburb across the country. It's only usually about 10 to 15% of each suburb. But if you get it right, as an example, in Sydney, over the next 10 years, you could potentially estimate to deliver $240,000 worth of extra growth. It's critical. It's very important. What is that unique combination of 5 metrics? So this is something you can take away. Make sure you target streets in the suburb that have under 15% public housing. Make sure there's lots of the in-demand property type. So if people are coming towards the local government area, the suburb, to buy 4-bedroom houses, to rent and invest in 4-bedroom houses, make sure that street is home and is demanded by people who want to live in 4-bedroom homes. Don't buy in a street that's full of 1-bedroom units. You need to get that street right. Lots of the in-demand property type and strong tenant demand. This is the big 3, really important. Make sure, if you can remember back the buyer behaviour side, make sure that the street itself is above average rent, above average yield, and strong tenant demand. It's the street that people are demanding to live in, rent and buy in at the moment. If you get that right, it's called the Ripe House sweet spot, and it's generally 10 to 15% of each suburb. It's not every suburb has a sweet spot. Some are just quite normal and not doing anything, but you have to look for if the suburb or the street has these areas to invest in. It's really important. How do you do that? So what I've done, I've clicked on Sebastopol. It's loaded it up now in the map analysis page within Webcast. So down into the third rung, your job on this page is to find the sweet spot streets, and then look at all the red dots on the map. There are individual properties that are currently on the market. You can view all the listing information. So days on market, has the property been discounted? Has it been revised? You can see all that information for each property. We are a search engine that goes off like Google does and brings these together for you in one place within 24 hours, but also tracking how long the property's been on the market and has it been discounted. Very powerful. You've got an amazing wealth of information on this page. You can see all current for rent properties. You can see all sales up to the last over the last year within the suburbs. So you can see all comparables there. You can see suburb versus suburb information over on the right. So suburbs around it, are they higher yielding, etc. Advanced suburb reports, neighbourhood comparisons. You've got a huge wealth of information on this page. What I just wanted to show you though is just how do you find the sweet spots. I don't want to get too confusing. As you can remember, you can see exactly where public housing is. The darker the red area, the stronger and the higher amounts of public housing. If you click on the red area, you've got 23.8% public housing here. That's an area to be avoided. You've got 18.3% public housing here, an area potentially to be avoided. Okay, so you can see all of these things on the map. Where owners own, where renters rent in the yellow there. You can see where houses and units are located, higher rents, higher yields. All of this is available for each suburb across the country. But to make it really easy, you just click on the Right House Sweet Spot button, click on the capital gains toggle. It will automatically adjust all of your tolerances in line with our recommended strategy, and then you can apply and see the exact street areas in the suburb to target. These are the ones that are driving the suburb forward in terms of growth. Okay, so there's 91 properties currently on the market. We want to filter those and only show us the 3 or 4 bedroom houses which are most in demand. There was a pop-up at the start of when the suburb loaded that told us what the most in demand property type was. So we remember that. We filter properties located in those sweet spot streets, 3 or 4 bedroom houses, and we apply that filter. That's going to take a few seconds. I'm going to pause that there. When we come back, well, it's already done it, but it's only now displayed 9 properties for us. These are the properties that are set to deliver hockey stick growth, or most likely to deliver hockey stick growth. Before I analyze them, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about how to do the property level stuff. What we're trying to do here, I'll just check if there's any questions. Keep them coming through. Roland's just asking, where are the sweet spots in Sydney? So Roland, sweet spots are street level information though in each, or as I mentioned, in a suburb. So certain streets within each suburb may be a sweet spot. There's, when you're going up to suburb versus suburb, it's certain suburbs that are leading the charge in terms of growth. But you can use the software to see the sweet spots in each suburb across the country. That's what it's all set up to do there in answer to your question. What we want to try and do now, we've got 9 properties on the market in Ballarat. We want to appraise and negotiate on those properties like a pro. So we're coming up, we want to be able to effectively negotiate, beat the market, and deliver us our hockey stick growth. We need to reliably assess the market value, condition, and comparables for the property and really own the process. So automated appraisals are sometimes not really enough. You need to find a valid comparable and use those comparables that you find to negotiate on the property. It's a process. Negotiation for success, we want to see information about the listing history of the property to leverage and use to our advantage. And this is all trying to achieve and potentially negotiate under market. So we're talking through a bit of a process to do that, okay? Firstly, let's just pick this property off the top of the list, 208 days on market. So it's been on the market for a while. 130 is the average days on market for this suburb. So it's up there. It's already been discounted by 5%, and it's obviously left on the map at the moment. So it's one of our key sweet spot streets. So you can tell pretty quickly that the property is unrenovated, unloved. I would assess that obviously in poor condition. You need to relate the condition of the property back to the suburb overall, and don't get too sophisticated. We're just trying to put the property into 3 buckets: poor, average, or good. The system is smart enough to go away and try and find other comparables that are going to be more similar to this property. But it's quite reasonably tidy. but unrenovated. So I am going to select poor as the condition for this property. You can see it came onto the market in February, was discounted by 5% in April. You can see all of your suburb and area level information. You can then click on this tab. We do remember that there's probably this vendor is getting pretty antsy now. They are probably wanting to sell. We might be able to use that days on market and discounting history to really come in with a lowball offer. We want to now try and locate comparables that are in quite a tight price range. I'm not going to go into too much time here. We want to go through the images for these properties, make sure that they are similar and really own that process. But it's going to take the 5 comparables that we find and automatically aggregate them and appraise them, and then tell us, are there things around this property, like it's a little bit too far away from school, shopping, that may affect the appraisal of the property. It's in 2% concentration of public housing, not necessarily a major effect on value, but we need to understand, and the software shows this, that the location can critically affect or adjust our appraised value. In this case, this number is probably not accurate, and I'm not going to do that on the webcast. Just in terms of, we really want to spend a little bit more time owning that comparables process, but just using this automated appraisal, the property is stacking up well. We could really maybe come in with a lowball offer, looking at the distress signals and appraise. If you've got any questions, click on the Ask Ripehouse button. It will come through to us at Twitter, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can with our thoughts on that property. So we're really trying to work with you as a DIY investor together, as DIY investors also, to work with you to help and get results. You can see how it all fits through to get you focused on the absolute pinnacle of opportunity to deliver hockey stick growth from day dot. That's what it's all about. I guess I'll probably just have a bit of reality. We've got 2 more suburbs to go into very quickly. I'm aware of time, but I just wanted to run through this really, really quickly. And yeah, jump onto the chat. No worries, Roland, for answering your question, but jump on the chat. I'd love to hear from you. Are you looking for amazing growth? It's probably a silly question, but I'd love to go, yes, yeah, you know, that sounds great. I understand how it sort of fits together. Any feedback about what I've sort of the system and how I've broken it down? Have I made things clear, etc.? Because I guess we're all, you know, you've taken the time out tonight to really understand research and due diligence at a deeper level, but it all comes down to buyer behavior, common sense. But you need the tools, the research to be able to kick up your investing, act in a timely fashion, and really take the bull by its horns. I guess so. It's for me and you know, DIY investing. It's all about surging as effectively, most quickly and effectively as possible towards your lifestyle and retirement dreams. So I just wanted to go and say a big thank you for coming and joining us tonight and taking the time out to empower yourself. And I hope you've got something out of the research. Before I go into the next 2 case studies, etc., and the Q&A at the end, I just wanted to say thank you. I'm always excited by people coming along and getting engaged, and you're obviously here for similar reasons. So that you are here for similar reasons, I'd love to extend to you a big thank you and a big thank you offer in terms of what you've seen as part of the Ripehouse annual subscription to the software. It's all inclusive, everything you've seen tonight, including all the content, free research modules. We stand by your side to assist using those modules to use the software, etc. We're on hand with live chat support, but it's all available usually via an annual subscription of $1,597 per annum. I'd love to offer a big thank you for coming along and showing and getting engaged and interested, of $400, bringing that subscription down to $1,197 per annum. But it's only available until midnight tonight. You know, this is a very, you know, we're really trying to package this as a big thank you and getting everyone involved together. But it's only available until midnight tonight. How can you lock this in and activate it? Check out the bonus page. Jump across there now to www.ripehouse.com.au/bonus. You can click on the Get Started button, the green Get Started button. It will pre-fill that $400 discount, that thank you offer. You just enter in your basic details, your name, email, phone number. Then click on the subscribe button. It will implement that discount, that thank you offer. Then you just enter in your credit card secure details provided by Stripe. Your account details will be sent straight through. You can get started. You can digest our monthly research reports. all of the learning modules, etc., included to get you moving, private webcast events, etc., to get you engaged in the DIY community and investing together and getting amazing results, putting yourself in position for amazing results and really changing the way that you invest into the future. So I'll pop things on pause there. I did want to run through another couple of suburbs. So the way that I did find these, I clicked on the Undercover button. This has gone across the whole country, found suburbs that have great market health, but are quite unloved by other Ripe House users and also the general sentiment of the industry. So this is a way of you can quickly find all of these suburbs in the country. The other suburb I wanted to just touch on was Dianella in WA. I'll try and find that on the page here. Okay, so here it is. It's a very traditional undercover shape. This is they're all a very similar shape. It's a visual way of looking at the suburbs. My concern here, so you can see how you can quickly find other areas across the country. Dianella, WA, you can remember back, the state of WA is very confused. A lot of the metrics are pointing in the wrong direction. Dianella, even though the suburb may sit very well and there's a traditional undercover, it may be the exception and not the rule in the area. So that's just probably a point to make. And I'm aware of time, so I don't really want to skip into too much detail, but this one might be another suburb to look into. And you've got a lot of properties on the market, trying to work out what's happening in the local government area around it. If we can see, are the health checks on the property clock looking positive? Next one, another cheat sheet. This is in Hornsby area of Sydney, Waiatara. Look for 2-bedroom units, and you've only got 600 dwellings that are the Ripe House sweet spots. Not many properties on the market that qualify, a very specific area of focus. Once again, I'll just get you to question, is Sydney at the right point on the property clock? Is there supply risk because of the units that have been built in the area? This is some of the concerns that I might look at, but this is another suburb that we identified via the undercover area within the site, and showing you how quickly and easily it is to find them. So, and that's just probably a couple of questions for further due diligence, always on hand to answer and help, just to try and get you thinking about how you would invest in these suburbs and things to look out for. I might go into a little bit more details with those in the Q&A session, so feel free to come in with more questions and talk through my logic. A couple more case study cheat sheets there about undercover suburbs. But just to really reiterate, Ripe House and technology research is all designed to help and empower, not bewilder and confuse. And by what I mean by that, we provide reports every month for research. The best bits we detail in great detail exactly which suburbs, streets, properties, and why in that report. We have obviously the research tools and then the information and advice and content coming through the Fund to Investor, which is for investors by investors. It's all provided as a comprehensive platform to help you and empower you to invest from day dot for growth and your success. We also provide, as mentioned, comprehensive support services that are built into the subscription. This is a little bit about what other people in the industry have got to say about Ripe House. So researchers, educators, buyers agents, and investors trying to do similar things in property and have found Ripe House as invaluable, amazing, brilliant, in really game-changing in how it helps you to find, secure, acquire properties and your research. So just wanted to really reiterate before I jump right into the Q&A session, and I'll be on here to go back and forth with you. Big thank you, $400 saving just for attending and being part of the content for tonight, bringing the annual subscription down to $1,197. I'd also really like to extend to you, normally at $97 each, we have monthly research reports. 24 of those included at no cost in that year period. We have a monthly capital growth report. We also do regular renovation reports with Jane State Smith. We also have a lower risk scarcity-based report coming soon, and a cash flow-based report. So I'll include and open all of those up at no cost to you as a big thank you for tonight for attending and taking up this offer. Huge value. Trying to basically give everything that you need to make decisions based on your strategy and what you're trying to achieve. We also have regular private webcast events. We had a previous event held recently around the Geelong area. We take a real deep dive into exactly which properties are set for growth in these private events. It's all packaged up for you with amazing value as a big thank you. Jump over to the www.ripehouse.com.au/bonus page. Hit the big Get Started green button. All payment is securely provided by Stripe. I might put things on pause there because I'd love you to get involved and jump over to that page and come on board with us. If you don't want to stick around for Q&A questions now, I'm just going to put things on mute for a few moments, answer any questions in private, gather our thoughts, gather the questions together, and come back in a few minutes with our extended Q&A session. If you don't want to stick around, a big thank you for attending. I hope you've got something out of it, some takeaways. We've opened your eyes up. We've got you thinking about things differently. We've got you challenging the status quo. If you do want to stick around, I'll see you in a few moments. Thank you. Okay, thanks for sticking around. Let's jump right into some Q&A. Right, so I might go from top down. What property types are showing good signs in Dianella, as it is a mix of houses, townhouses, and units? So let's jump in there. I might go into a bit of a deep dive for you there, Mark. I'll just fit back into Dianella. Yeah, so it is really important to make sure you focus, obviously, as mentioned, on the most in-demand property type, the most common and in-demand property type at that particular time. It's a combination of the both. Dianella, over in WA, I have to admit I am quite unfamiliar with WA. I haven't visited there, but obviously it has been on the radar going back to the early 2010, etc., with a lot of growth. Awareness of that has moved into the slowdown phase. So days on market going back up again, sales volumes dropping, rents quite steady, properties on the market for quite a while, and there is quite some heavy vendor discounting going on in the majority of WA Perth areas at the moment. Saying 3-bedroom houses are the current most in-demand property type. Let's just do a bit of a sweet spot analysis. We've got 4 areas. They do seem to be focused in and around the Central Park, the Strand, the Plaza. 2 areas here. There may be public housing around of concern. So up in this northern area towards it looks like a business. I'm not sure what that is. Let's have a bit of a zoom in. The square, so near the shopping centre, the Kmart, that's where a lot of the public housing is concentrated. So 27.7% public housing around there. So a little bit of concern in investing in those areas, even though they have great amenity to the shops. So our research to closest shop is around 800 to 1,200 metres is the optimum distance that has the positive correlation to price. If you remember back to those adjustments. It is down in this south area, down towards the plaza, that looks quite positive. and 3 and 4 better houses is what would be the most common in demand at the moment. So not in the units, I'm assuming, and closer to the shops, a little bit further away into the house market looks to be the go in Dianella. Sky's asking, what if Trump becomes president? How would this affect Ballarat? I guess, Jim, I really don't want to speculate at macro stuff, macroeconomics. I guess at that point it's going to affect maybe the country at the same time. We can't really control those external factors in the macro environment. It's all about potentially positioning ourselves for the growth opportunities within the country. Then potentially that 25%, if the world economy collapses or whatever happens, the dire straits happen, that might be reduced, but at least you'll put yourself in prime position for growth, irrespective of the macro or global economy. That's what it's all about, in putting yourself in that prime position, if that makes sense. Michael's just asking where you access the reports. So members can jump over to /pounce.com.au/learn. You can see all FAQ, help, video tutorials, ebooks, strategy ebooks, and all of our reports are in the Learning Centre there. Michael, which of the 6 criteria in the LGA page do you consider most important? They are all important, Michael. It's all about the process in terms of understanding the buyer behaviour, rents, yields increasing, making sure sales volumes are then increasing, and days on market stable. If you've got all of them happening together, that's really great. If you've got yields trending upwards, there may be some correction. You may have a little bit of growth that's starting to creep in, so you may have yield trending dropping while it's still high. The more the better, but potentially, to answer your question very strictly, yields at a high point in the cycle for that suburb is critical. Sales volumes nice and healthy. If they're trending upwards, bonus. If they're nice and healthy at a high point in the cycle, that's really great. Days on market, as long as they're not going upwards at a great rate, that's a really positive sign. Yeah, so what we're talking about here, Michael, in terms of country towns like Ballarat might have hockey stick growth, but surely doesn't have the long-standing potential that capital cities do. So, yep, I agree. What we're talking about now, in this particular terms, is one silo within Ripehouse, okay? So we divide up your strategies in 5 buckets. You've got capital growth, cash flow, scarcity, which is lower risk, which is capital city, which is driven by Bondi Beach, eastern suburbs, Sydney, northern beaches, Sydney, Toorak, inner city, South Yarra, St Kilda. That's a scarce suburb which has longer term growth curves. What I'm saying and what we're talking about is a local government area that has experienced a growth uplift, and that's usually around 1 to 3 years of outstanding growth, and then it will fall back in line. So you're targeting front-ended capital growth, potentially going in there and refinancing after 3 years, and then moving on to the next area, or then going and investing in those scarce longer-term potential. Generally, with those longer-term potentials, you have to wait around for that 15-year growth cycle, but it does outperform most suburbs by 1% every year. It's more stable. We are talking about 2 different things. I can show you and work with you to use Ripehouse to do exactly that. And we've got different ways that we track suburbs. It's more of a low, higher, longer tenure, low turnover, close to CBD, owner-occupier type suburbs that drive the growth in those scarce markets. And I'll happy to work with you and show you how that would work. Sky's just talking. So friend or family, friend to share subscriptions. I'm happy within family, or if you work with a business partner or co-investor partner, for you both to work back and forth with your subscription. That's no problem. I understand that this is a dynamic thing. If you're obviously sharing that out in volume, I don't think that's fair, because what you see in the research that you see within Ripehouse, it's very valuable. It's all about having a scarce or very highly sophisticated audience using the leading edge research. That's why we have it all paid and hidden behind the subscriptions. It's to keep the value as high as possible for each other users. So obviously sharing the subscriptions out. We don't have group buying, any opportunities such as that, but I'm happy for you to share it with your general business partner, investing partner, or obviously your family member. No problems. Yeah, okay. So what you've seen tonight, Michael, is the full annual subscription as only, yeah, it's all inclusive and only available on the annual subscription as seen, if that makes sense. Keep the questions coming through. I'm always happy to Michael's just asking, would you recommend again going into these country areas for a first-time investor to boost your equity, and then going into a capital city? What I'll post is a link to just excuse me while I grab it, a survey that you can do. One moment here, I just have to try and dig up the. Okay, so this is a really quick survey. It's 18 questions. We've spent a lot of time in formulating. So in the Learning Centre, you have the top 5 strategies ebook and which one is right for you. So it's 4,000 words. It's a lot of detail. It's really interesting reading about why different strategies might be more appropriate to you in your investment journey and right now. After that, we have 18 questions within a survey. You answer those questions and it assesses where you're at, your skill level, what you're wanting to achieve, how you want to do it, your risk profile, and your capabilities. And it will recommend to you a suggested algorithm-based strategy. That's sent to you via email. That's a really good starting point. And that might suggest to you how to use the software. We can use that as a basis point. Happy to work with you on that feedback from that survey with the annual subscription, and then direct you with how to use the software to suit, if that makes sense. So definitely check that survey out. How to use the software directly related to what you're trying to do. And Keith's just asking around the Ipswich area, good growth area. Keith, what we're seeing, we're probably seeing a little bit of inconsistency between the local government area and the suburb in Ipswich. So places like Moreton Bay, you've got a very compelling growth story at the local government area. The metric health is great, and you've also got suburbs amplifying that. Whilst in Ipswich, you've got suburbs that are healthy, but a bit of a disconnect with the wider LGA. You've got some population and employment uplift in Ipswich, but it's not a strong growth story leading forward. It's just more of a fact, I suppose, that it's cheaper compared to other areas within the Brisbane area. Similar to Logan, where it's had uplift and growth. Moreton Bay has a very strong growth story, and the metrics back that up as well. So I'll probably say if you're in that Southeast Queensland area, Ipswich might be up in the top 5, but not really right at the number 1, if that makes sense, just because of the cohesion of the story. A lot more subjective questions here. I might pop things on mute. I'll be still sticking around, so I'll answer questions one-on-one with you via the chat bar. Once again, thank you so much for your time. I am here. If you've got any questions, keep them coming through. I really hope you've got something out of this evening. I'd love to hear your feedback. Please put, if you've got any positive or negative feedback, things you found beneficial, please let me know. It'd be great to help refine. But yeah, once again, thank you so much, and happy investing.